We'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the Berkeley County Board of Education for Tuesday, May 27th, 2014. I call the meeting to order. I declare that a quorum is present and that the media has been notified. Before we move down our agenda, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear us. Dan Davis, can you hear us okay in the back? Jeff Brewer, can you hear us okay back there? All right. We want to make sure everyone can hear us since we're in a different location. With that said, we'll move on to agenda item number 2, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Obey. Thank you, Dr. Etheridge. A motion has been made by Mr. Obey, seconded by Dr. Etheridge, to approve this evening's agenda. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Tonight's agenda has been approved. We have the very special treat tonight. When we get to go on different school locations to have our meetings, not only do we get to do our customary Pledge of Allegiance and opening prayer, but we also get to hear the national anthem. And what a beautiful song that is, especially one day past a very important holiday in our country, the Memorial Holiday, so Memorial Day. So it is with great respect and admiration that I introduce to you, first of all, Mr. Joe Schwischer, who has been in the Berkeley County School District for 27 years, the last 10 at College Park Middle. He is truly one of our institutions here in the school district, and we look forward to hearing his children sing tonight's national anthem. Mr. Schwischer, we'll start with you introducing your kids, your students.
Okay, yeah. Up on the top, we're going to start from the tall guys up on top. Kurt Walker is also going to do our pledge. Tyler Morris, got Trace Klutz, Brendan Mack. Those are our 4 boys on the top row. You can hear them singing baritone. And then we have Alexa. Kelson, I called her sister's name. Kelson Williams, Leslie Cockart, Angel up there on the 3rd row, and Nicole Courtney on the 2nd row. And in the front here we have Dorothy, who I want to call by her sister's name too, because I've taught her to. Alyssa and Cameron on the front.
Fantastic.
And we're very pleased to sing for you. Won't you please rise?
Join us in the recitation of the Lord's Prayer, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. done. Thank you so much for the members of the College Park Middle School Chorus who could be with us this evening. A very special thank you to Kurt Walker for reciting our Pledge of Allegiance, and as always, Mr. Joe Schwisher. It's great to have you in our school district. Now we're moving on to agenda item number 4. Tonight we elect board officers. So with that said, I will ask the board, do we have a motion for chair?
You do, Mr. Chair. I'd like to nominate Dr. Murray for chairman.
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Mr. Hayes, do we have any more nominations for a chair, position of chairman? Hearing no more nominations, we will call the question. There has been a motion made by Mr. Cooper. That motion has been seconded by Mr. Hayes to appoint Kent Murray as chairman of the Berkeley County School Board. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously. I thank you for your confidence. I will continue to work hard and hope I will hold up and meet your expectations. Moving on to the election of vice chair. Do I have a motion and a second for vice chair?
Mr. Chair, you do. I nominate Shannon Lee for vice chair.
I'll second that motion, Ms. Schwabe. A motion has been made by Ms. Schwabe, seconded by the chair, Murray, to nominate Shannon Lee as vice chair. Do we have another motion for the position of vice chairman? Hearing none, we'll call the question. A motion has been made by Ms. Schwabe. That motion has been seconded by Murray to appoint Ms. Shannon Lee as vice chairman of the Berkeley County School Board. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Lee. You have been reappointed to another term as vice chairman. With that said, do I have a motion and a second for secretary of the Board of Trustees?
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Kathy Schwalbe as secretary.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Dr. Etheridge. I believe you and Mr. Cooper both seconded. I'll go with Dr. Etheridge. Ms. Lee has made a motion. That motion has been seconded by Dr. Etheridge to appoint Ms. Kathy Schwabe as secretary to the Board of Education of Berkeley County. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously. Your new slate of officers are the same as your last slate of officers. At Chairman, Kent Murray, Vice Chairman, Shannon Lee, and Secretary, Ms. Kathy Schwabe. I commend my fellow officers, and we've got a lot of work to do, but I'll open up the microphone if you have any comments you'd like to make. None? I like the way you operate. Let's get to work. Moving on to agenda item number 5. Do I have a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 13th, 2014?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May 13th, 2014. I second.
Thank you. Dr. Etheridge has made a motion. That motion has been seconded by Mr. Hayes to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May 13th, 2014. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries unanimously. The minutes of the regular meeting of May 13th, 2014 have been approved. Moving on to agenda item number 6, entitled Approval of April 2014 Head Start Reports and Budgets. Do I have a motion and a second?
Mr. Chair, I make the motion to approve the April 2014 Head Start budget expenditures report and Head Start credit card report, disability service plan, mental health service plan, nutrition service plan, teacher assistant job description, and prospective new hires. The review, the Policy Council agenda, April Policy Council minutes, the Berkeley Dorchester Head Start monthly program report, lunch and breakfast menus, April CACFP reimbursement summary as presented in agenda item number 6.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Lee will yield to you. I sent you the first I heard. A motion has been made by Mr. Hayes. That motion has been seconded by Ms. Lee. I will restate that motion for the record prior to our vote. Do we have any discussion regarding Mr. Hayes' motion? Hearing no discussion, I will repeat the motion for the record. A motion has been made by Mr. Hayes. That motion was seconded by Ms. Lee to approve the April 2014 Head Start Budget Expenditures Report and Head Start Credit Card Report, Disability Service Plan, Mental Health Service Plan, Nutrition Service Plan, Teacher Assistant Job Description and Prospective New Hires, and review the Policy Council agenda, April Policy Council minutes, the Berkeley Dorchester Head Start Monthly Program Report, lunch and breakfast menus, and April CA-CFP reimbursement summary, as presented in Agenda Item 6. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries unanimously. Dr. Whitley, your 2014 Head Start reports and budgets for April have been approved. All right, now we get to do some celebrations. So Mr. Franchini, please come to the podium. Tonight we are celebrating many of the wonderful folks here in Berkeley County, and we look forward to hearing this celebration. Mr. Franchini, the podium's yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Murray, members of the board. First of all, I call your attention to the legacy builders that's in your packet. You can see. You hear me now? Yes. You will notice that a number of our students and teachers have received recognition for outstanding accomplishments at both the local level, the state level, and even the national level. So I encourage you to take time to read through this. You can see that there's just a few of the fine students and teachers who are doing outstanding things in our district. This time I would like to call Charlie Davis, the district athletic director, to the podium. He's going to do some very, very special recognition this evening. Davis.
Archie, speak into the microphone.
It's a great honor and privilege for me to do this and be here tonight as part of this Legacy Builders program. Thank you, Dr. Thompson and Dr. Murray, for this opportunity to recognize and honor the folks that we're going to honor and recognize tonight. Before I call up the first person that we will recognize tonight, let me tell you a little bit about his accomplishments. The overall record in football for Stratford High School, 270 wins, 100 losses in 29 years. State 4A Division I champions, 1999. State Division I runner-up, 2004. State Division IV runner-up, 2013. State Final Four semifinals, 13. State Final Four semifinals, 9. State Coach of the Year, out of all the coaches in the state, 4 times. Florida State Coach of the Year, 7 times. Region Coach of the Year, 15 times. Inducted into the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Hall of Fame, the second honoree for Berkeley County in the history of coaches in Berkeley. Inducted into the South Carolina Strength Coaches Hall of Fame. Head coach for the South Carolina Shrine Bowl in 2012. Led them to a win over the North Carolina. Head coach of the South Carolina North-South All-Stars in 2010. South Carolina League Executive Committee member for 4 years. Past president of the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association. Past president of the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association. Past president of the South Carolina Strength Coaches Association. That is about as an impressive a resume as any coach could possibly have. And it is with great pleasure that I ask Ray Stackler, head coach and athletic director podium while we bring up a couple other folks that will say a little more about Coach Stackley's career at Stratford High School and service to Berkeley School District. Coach Stackley. We have a guest tonight, Mr. Dean Stevens with Channel 4, that wasn't on tonight because he took the time away from Channel 4 to come honor Coach Stackley and Dean Stevens.
Ray made sure that I knew that I was the only man here wearing makeup. It is true. And I'm okay with that. And so is he. You know, over the last 27 years that I've been in this business, I've had the pleasure of interviewing and meeting the biggest and the best athletes of our time. Hall of Famers, most valuable players in the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, racing greats, tennis stars, golfers, and for a young, eager, fresh out of college sports reporter and anchor, those interactions would best be described as really cool. A source of ego, pride, hey, look at me. But for a 51-year-old father of three, not so young, not so fresh out of college, news anchor, those experiences were just that. They were just experiences. Nothing more, nothing less. When people ask me today, what's the greatest part of your job? It's not meeting Dale, or Magic, or Maddox, or Tiger. It is truly the amazing opportunity to watch people in our community who have made a positive impact in the life of a child. For me, the stories began and end with Ray Stack. As a member of the media, he always treated us, he always treated me with respect. Yes, there were rules, and by God, like his players, you better follow them, because even for the media, there were consequences. I'm not sure what those consequences were, because like my father's rules, I chose to follow them better than to challenge them. On a personal level, he is much like a father figure to me. There were countless times that I called him for advice on things that had nothing to do with the game of football. I am a better father today because of Coach Stackley. Stories and lessons passed along in those phone conversations have been implemented in my own house. I learned that being an involved parent is the only way to parent. That where you stand with wins and losses means nothing in comparison to where you stand in your community. I know his former players. I've worked side by side with them in the news business. And there is a common bond. It's work ethic. It's commitment. It's honesty. Those traits born at a hot two-a-days in the sweltering Stratford sun. The other bond is the influence of a man who cared deeply, who loved deeply. And his presence on the sidelines and in this community will be missed thank you for having me here tonight.
The second person that will speak tonight about what influence Coach Stackley had in his life is former quarterback at Stratford High School, George Rush.
Good evening. Chairman, members of the platform, honored guests. It's been an interesting couple of days for me, week or so. The opportunity to really reflect on Coach Stackley and what he has meant to my life. The opportunity to speak with some of my former teammates, look back through old articles, look at old pictures from a little bit. He's grown. A little bit. But it's been an interesting time. Coach Stackley is more than just a coach. Many times we have the opportunity to look back on our lives and reflect just a tad. To think about the people that touched our lives, that made a difference in our lives and made us the person that we are, that we've become. I've had the privilege of having three such people, three such men in my life. First is my father, George W. Rush Sr. He laid the foundation and groundwork for me. Second is Coach Ray Stackley. He took what my father had done and helped mold and shape. Third is former Superintendent of Berkeley County. And my father-in-law, William L. Berkeley, second. We talk about what it means to have those types of people in our lives. And when you've got a father like my father and two father figures, it means a great deal. Coach Stackley was more than a coach to me. Hundreds of players that have passed the halls of Stratford High School and had the honor and privilege of wearing the red and silver flag. He knew who needed a pat on the back. He knew who needed a swift kick in the backside. He was more of a father figure to some of us than others, but he was the father figure just the same. The 270 wins and 100 losses, I can tell you that we learned as much in those defeats as we did in those victories. He understood that most of us would never play professionally. He understood that what he was doing was preparing us for life and preparing us for the real world. He understood that he would use football to help us be prepared for life's challenges. And as a result of that, the majority of those former players, athletes, are successful in whatever endeavor they actually chose to participate in. Coaches, teachers, principals, policemen, military officers, entrepreneurs, and community leaders. All have gone on to do great things in and around this community. And we owe much of that to this neighborhood. I'm going to use the letters that spell Stratford to talk a little bit more about him and the things that he taught me, my teammates, and the players that passed after. Sacrifice. During the years that I've known him, he has sacrificed greatly daughter, Heather, is here. His son, Josh, who's not here this time, and his wife, missed out on his services, his guidance, and just time to be around him because he spent so much time with us, teaching, coaching, preparing. Toughness and tenacity. I don't believe we won a game first year, correct? We were defeated. Not really the way that you wanted to be. But fact we recognized that we needed to be much tougher. We needed to be more tenacious in what we did. And with the work that we did on that field, he instilled toughness in us in the Oklahoma drills. And we've had a lot of conversations about word breaks and the way things have changed a little bit. Word breaks are required now. I'm still waiting on my word break. Rules and responsibility. And we're rules to follow. That's what Mr. Stevens indicated. Mr. Stevens indicated. He wrote those rules. There was something you were going to have to pay. Responsibility. You must be responsible not just to yourself, but to your teammates, to the coaches. All the work that's been done, you needed to do your job. Accountability and adaptability. I've heard many people say and speak about his adaptability. Think back on the team that we had in 1985, 83, 84, 85. You think on that team, we were more of a running team. I didn't throw very well, so we weren't more throwing. We were a tremendous team running ball. You look at this team today, spread offenses, throwing the ball around. He was able to adapt and change at times. And it's been very successful. Teamwork and trust. It's extremely important that we as teammates did what our job, what was required of us in our job. We needed to trust that the man next to us was going to do his job. I needed to trust that my center, my line was going to do their job. Running backs and everybody was going to go where they were supposed to go. And if we didn't do that, one man could certainly break a team and have you with a bad play. But if we all work together, we could achieve what it was that we hoped to achieve, which was wins. Family. Family was extremely important to Coach Sack. I can still remember, I was talking to Ms. Sack about seeing Josh running around the field, seeing Heather running around the field. Josh was 3 at the time. Heather, great. And seeing them, it really always did my heart to see them running around and to spend a little bit of time with Josh. But he also talks about family as teammates. We were family. We depended on each other. We did things together, not just on the football field, but afterwards. Think about times, 2-a-day practices. After the first practice, we would go to somebody's house and the parent was there to feed us. Let us get in the pool and then let us rest, getting ready for the next practice. I'll never forget those things. Opportunity. Football provided an opportunity for many of us to express ourselves. It also provided an opportunity for an education. Education was extremely important to Coach Stackton and the opportunities that football provided. Some of us weren't going to go on to college. We had people that never actually went on to college, but they went on to be successful entrepreneurs, successful businessmen, successful doing the things that they chose to do. And I owe a lot of that. We owe a lot of that to Coach Stackton. Respect. Mr. Stevens spoke about respect. It's extremely important that we not only respect ourselves, but that we also respect the teams that we play. There were instances as we moved along, especially that last year of my senior year, we were better than most of the teams that we faced. But we did not take that for granted. We had to go out and do our job, and be respectful when we did it. Winning respectful. Being respectful of the teachers, being respectful of our elders, being respectful of those in the community. Those things were extremely important and instilled in us playing football. desire discipline, dedication. Many of us desire to be more than what we were. Many of us have the desire to go on to do different things. Discipline. He provided that discipline for us. He made sure that you had a job, you needed to do that job, and this is the way I want it done. But if you think about, go back and read news articles. He never talked about he never talked about race that. He always spoke about the team, what we need to do, what we need to accomplish to get better. And the things that he taught me really stayed with me, because when I went off to college, there were many opportunities to do things that I shouldn't do. I didn't want to embarrass my community. I didn't want to embarrass my parents. I didn't want to embarrass them. When I left high school in 1986, I knew at some point I would get married. I hope I would find my wife. I was fortunate enough to do that. My intent was to leave, have a family, have a son, hopefully 2 or 3. No matter where I was, my intent was to come back to this community, have my son coached by that man. I think greatly of him. He's been a tremendous part of my life. I call him every season to check, to see where things are. How are we going to be? What's really interesting about that call initially after I left, he treated me like I was a reporter. We're not going to be real good. I'm going to struggle a little bit. Hey man, it's me. Talk to me. It finally took me a while, but he let it go. He would explain to me what was happening in the student life. And it was really nice for me to be able to keep in touch with not just him, but the program. The program is so important to me, not just me. Go back and you read some of the articles. I read an article recently, Mike Darnell spoke. Mike coaches down at Michigan. He talked about more than just coaching. Father. Rodney Kinlaw spoke about more than just a father, more than just a coach. Father figure. Harold Green, more than just a coach, father figure. I'm telling you, speak with all of the things. 99% of them will say he was more than just a coach. And I really challenge the 1% that might say he wasn't. I think there was some issue there. I promise you, they would say he was more than just a coach. He was my coach. And I love him.
Dr. Thompson and Dr. Murray, if y'all would come down. What an appropriate program to be a part of, legacy builders, because I don't think I can think of a word that describes Coach Stackley better than leaving the kind of legacy that you just heard about. So, tonight, it's my pleasure to present to Coach Ray Stackley for leaving a legacy of success, for making a difference in the lives of students in the Berkeley County School District for 35 years. Presented this 27th day of May, 2014. Coach Ray Stackley. I know this is a little lengthy, but I think Coach Stackley has a couple words he'd like to share with you.
First of all, let me thank Kent Murray and the Berkeley County School Board. Some of those are good friends of mine on that board. Berkeley administrative staff, Stratton High School administrative staff, and Tennessee Knight, James Thomas for maintenance, David Pratt, one night coaches, who we honor tonight, his teammates for winning the state championship in track. Mr. Joe Swisher, whose boy played for me, and y'all what y'all said is true. He is what he's advertised. And all the rest of y'all that showed up here for me tonight, I really appreciate it. Let me talk a little about these two guys, George Rush and Dean Stevens. Dean, don't like to say this, he used to be a sportscaster. And he was the finest sportscaster this Tri-County area has ever seen. And he sacrificed his family. Because a lot of those guys who arrested him went out to Fox News, ESPN Sports. He's talented. They stayed here, persevered because his three kids, Jack, Charlie, and Sam, his wife Caroline, loved the area, and he sacrificed there. And now what I say is, he's that young best newscaster to Tri-County. Now, it's made that evolution. I'm very thankful to my friend. This guy, George Rush, is a very humble guy. The reason I brought him here tonight, it's easy for me to try to say, who am I asked to speak for? I made it easy on myself by saying, who's my first quarterback as head coach? And who's the guy who basically embodies the process that we started at Stratton High School in 1985. And that process is simple. Charlie's heard me say it. Mr. Thompson heard me say it. We have never placed women in our football or athletic program ahead of them sound citizenship skills. Others do. We've never broken rules. We've never been in trouble in the high school league. We would do nothing that our young people would see that would deface what we were trying to preach. And that was, be a good man. Learn how to be a good, responsible citizen of your community. Be a good leader in your church and your community. And go on and do something great. Well, whatever field you go into. And I'm most proud of that. He basically personifies all that I'm saying. He talked about, I told him all of them were making the NFL. He had a chance. This guy was a strong old quarterback. He started for 3 years at the University of Sacramento wide receiver. And after taking a 4-year hiatus, went back to the renowned baseball program in Sacramento and started for him in left field. But we say all the time, you know, only 1% of those people that play high school and college are going to make a living doing that. You got to take those skills we talked about and go on and be somebody great. And I brought him here back because of that. He's, from the day one, he's been man enough to tell me in my face that he loves me. And you need to teach your young man to do that, okay? I tell him all the time, when the last time you want to tell your mother and your daddy to their face that you love them? Kind of a lost thing today. He's a man who's grown to that point. And now he calls it back concerned with his own children, like some other players do. So I'm very grateful that these two guys came tonight. Again, I'm not going to be long-winded, because I don't like to talk about myself. I do like to talk. I'm not going to talk about myself. This whole process I've been in for 38 years, I've been as good as 40 in high school, is I learned from the good and the bad. When I first started out, I was in a very successful program before I came to Stratton. We played the championship, but there was something missing. Why were the players not coming back? Why were they being successful? And I say it's the only thing is because you have to care. If you don't care for them, get out the business like some of my coaches. Coach so-and-so can't do it. I don't want to hear that. He's all we got. Coach, we care about it. And I think the simple thing about success that I personally had Stratton had over the years is because we were able to give 100% effort out of our ball players. And the only way you get 100% effort if they truly believe you care about them as human beings beyond football. Football's a rough game. There's a lot of hollering, screaming, coaching. George can tell he's my first quarterback. I put the thumbnail down in our punch. We were 12-1, lost the chance to play the state championship with less than a minute left on the clock. Painful. But I think the reason success is, in this business, whether you're a teacher, administrator, coach, if you don't have that capacity to make your student athletes understand you care genuinely about their future, you will never get 100% out of it. And that alone, talk about the legacy, and make sure we always place the student and their needs first in all we do. Thank you for your time.
I think you can tell why Stratford football wins. I think I'm ready to go play right now.
Put me in, Coach.
We have, in the tradition that we've established with legacy recognition, we also have tonight a number of state champions in track and field in the state of South Carolina. I'd like to ask Coach Joe Hoff if you would come up, track coach, head track coach at Goose Creek High School. And while he's coming up, I'm going to tell you a little bit about DeAndre Gaines. DeAndre has been a member of the Goose Creek High track team for the last 4 years. He was state finalist 3 of those years. State champion or state runner-up in the 400-meter dash last year, 2013. This year, he won the state championship as a junior in high school in the 400-meter dash. He was also a state finalist in the 200 meters. Was an anchor leg on the 4x100 state finalist team relay. He achieved all-state honors in 3 events he participated in this year. And this being his junior season, he will return next year for another hopefully state championship. Also, a wide receiver, defensive back on the Goose Creek High. DeAndre, please come up and join me. DeAndre chooses not to speak in this. Thank you for representing Berkeley County School District in such a positive way. Coach Hall, thank you. One more group. They may not ever let me come to the microphone again. Hannah Ann High School at the 4x400 relay state championship team. not only did they win the 3A 4x400 relay as state champions, but they ran the fastest time in the state, including all divisions, whether it was 4A, 3A, 2A, or 1. Fastest time in the state. I'd like to ask Coach David Pratt to please come up, and the 4x100 relay team comes. These four young men, Greg Castleman, Greg, would you step forward? Sam Denmark, Galheen Denmark, and Andrew Hunt. This is our state championship 4x400 relay. As I present these, I also need to do one. We have an additional state champion among this group. Greg Castleman, if you would step forward again. Greg was a 400-meter individual champion in 400-meter hurdle race. So Greg won 2 state championships this year. Congratulations. Before we take the picture, and thank you for your patience, Coach David Pratt is the head track coach at Hanahan High School. This is his second state championship team, the Hanahan High School boys, or men's I should say. They are the state champion team as well as these individuals. Scored more points as a team than any 3A team in the state. So Hanahan High School has a lot to be proud of in the track program. Coach Pratt has won 2 of these team state champions in the last 3 years. And I think he has some more in store. But I do need to add one more thing before we take the picture. Coach Pratt, this is his 7th state championship in track since he's been coaching track in his career. Wow. Thank you, guys.
I just want to thank the Berkeley County School Board for honoring the track team. The track team represented themselves in Hanahan High School, Berkeley County very well. Just not the state meet, but all year, just not by their athleticism, but by their sportsmanship and their dedication. Thank you very much. This is a great school district. I work for a great principal. And Coach Stackman's left. I worked for him for 7 years, and I love those 7 years. He's everything those people spoke about. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. We would just like to say we appreciate all the effort and get the visuals that
Thank you so much for all of you being here this evening. Greg, with your permission, may I tell you a story? Greg wore Kelvin Richardson's shoes to compete in this year. So Kelvin was as much a part of that championship as all four of y'all. So good job. Good job. I tell you what, it's good to be emotional, isn't it? It means you're alive, right? It's good to be emotional. We are now moving on to citizens' comments, and we have two this evening. I want to make sure, though, Ms. Hare, do we have any more? Okay, I just want to make sure everybody who came tonight who wanted to speak had the opportunity. First up tonight, and I'm going to read the rules for speaking during the citizens' comment section, but if I could, as I read the rules, I'd like to ask Mr. Mackey and Ms. Tracy Flood to please approach the podium. They would like to speak this evening. Our citizen comment procedures are as follows. In order to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines. Stakeholder comments are welcomed and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action on public comments at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs, policies, or procedures. Comments regarding an employee or student other than the child of the speaker will not be heard in public session. Groups addressing the same topic should select one speaker. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. And finally, the board chair reserves the right to allot additional time or halt public comments that do not adhere to these guidelines. Up first tonight is Mr. and Ms. Flood. They would like to discuss the way an appeal is handled concerning children's attendance zoning. And again, for the members of the board, let's be reminded that parents do have the right to discuss issues regarding their own children. Mr. Flood, the podium's yours, sir. 3 minutes.
Thank you. On last board meeting, we were told to come to the board meeting to hear our son's appeal for attendance. Well, we were in the assumption that we were able to talk to that appeal. I've been to many of appeals and been able to appeal what you're supposed to be appealing. Well, we sat for 3 hours. Nobody told us anything. Our child was a number that night. We had to ask who our son was. We had no information. So the appeal was denied, and I was fine with it. Then, before I thought about it, I called 2 board members. I talked to 2 board members, and they basically didn't know anything that I was talking about. We had doctor's letters. One doctor said it was detrimental to my son's health. I asked if they saw that letter. They couldn't recall that letter. One couldn't recall it. The other said that she'd have to look at it. After we got discussing my son's doctors, we had the same doctors. So if a letter was shown, I believe I would remember our children had doctors in common. So I entrusted the district employees to present my child's case now. It's all in their hands. I can't speak for my child. So after finding this information out, I wasn't happy. I felt like the backdoor sessions or backroom sessions that the board is having is not right. I also found out that most parents don't even show up for their appeal hearings. Most parents, they're not allowed to talk. So the only way I can talk is to come to the next meeting and have my 3 minutes. Our son goes every Friday and has shots to help him breathe. Right? Where he's located at now is 10 minutes from his school and it's 10 minutes from her, his doctor and her office. Where he would be going is 45 minutes with no medical facilities. My wife has had to go numerous times to go get him his inhalers and everything else and take him to Dr. Raymond. None of that, not one of y'all knew any of this information. It was told, but not relayed. So, to have an appeal, you got to have an appeal. For the parents who do care, give them the time to talk. Let them voice their opinions for their children. Because y'all are going off of nothing. And is the way I see it. Y'all went off not one thing. My child is a number to every one of you. I listened to y'all talk that night on Mr. Rawls' opinion, on his educated opinion. All right? We give you medical documents of my doctors, his doctors, educated opinions, and they were declined. So, I think they were declined because 2 board members couldn't remember if they even heard it. And I just think it's appalling that my child's a number. Now he's going to go to private school next year, so he don't have to deal with it, and he won't be a number there. So if there's anything to be done, if there's anything to be said, I think the appeals process needs to be changed for the parents who do care. There was 12 kids that night. We were the only parents there. We couldn't have 2 minutes of your time. So that's all I have to say, and thank you.
Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Flood. We appreciate your comments. And the superintendent will be communicating with you in the future. Next up, our last comment for the evening is Miss Patricia Eckstein. Miss Eckstein is from Hanahan, and she would like to discuss the Tanner the Tanner School. Miss Eckstein, the podium's yours. And welcome back.
And thank you for being so amenable to.
Oh, certainly.
There are several of us who were here that came from Monk's Corner and came down to College Farm.
Gotcha.
Just wanted to get
You can hold, Miss Eckstein, you can hold it if you like, if it's more comfortable. There you go. You look like Dean Stevens.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've had the opportunity to be here with you before, and the last time I was here in April. Tonight is the first opportunity that parents and residents of Hanahan have to come before you this evening to ask you to convene a committee to work cooperatively, to allow for public input, and to seek any necessary assistance to expeditiously move the construction of the Tanner Forster Creek Elementary School forward. I think we all shared the same urgency. As I stated when I was here on April 8th at the board meeting, honorable and well-intentioned people disagree. The appeal of the rezone denial is over. None of us are happy about that in one respect because it didn't get to go in its full form to find out where we were at, but it's over. We have this great opportunity to start all over again with a clean slate, but of course time is of the essence. At the May 13th City Council meeting, I was asked by Mayor Minnie Newton Caldwell and City Council to coordinate a committee of parents and residents throughout Hanahan to work with the school district and the city. So far, 16 residents have volunteered representing all parts of Hanahan with just word of mouth and some Facebook postings. We have support from the leadership of several homeowners associations. But I would like to point out tonight that we have here in the audience Jennifer Roston from Charles Janot, Sharon Calhoun, Scotty and Steve Parker, Robert Jones, and Barbara Brown, who went up to Monk's Corner because that was the instructions I had, and they called it and came down here tonight. The goal of the community committee would be the same as Dr. Thompson outlined at the first meeting of the Daniel Island, Cane Point, and Clements Ferry Community Committee last October. This is a time to provide input to reach consensus on a final product for the success of our children. For those who, just for some background, the school district set a precedent when we did do that community participation. When you invited the parents of Daniel Island, Cane Point, and along Clements Ferry Road to work together last September. And this past February, that community committee recommended a school site off Clements Ferry Road for a K-8 school rather than a grade 5-8 middle school approved by voters in November 2012. In Hanahan, the impact of possible school sites remaining on existing neighborhoods must be considered, as 60% of Tanner Plantation is already built out, offering fewer parcels of available land. We want to have the opportunity to discuss the same high level of performance, achievement, and socioeconomic parity to make sure that that remains balanced at both schools. Also critically important is traffic flow, safe pedestrian access, a large enough campus to handle immediate and future enrollment and facility needs as compared to the 20-acre sites at Hanahan Middle and Hanahan High School. At 3 public hearings last December, city and school officials heard the voices of parents and residents throughout Hanahan and urged the school district and the city to work together. Parents stated they were willing to wait another year for the school to open to make sure the best possible site was selected. We are excited and optimistic that you will afford parents and residents of Hanahan the same opportunity to explore all the options and work hand in hand together to recommend the best possible location and address additional concerns parents and residents have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Eckstein. We appreciate you being here this evening. I also apologize for any confusion. We like to get out to our different school sites and get closer to the community. So if you didn't get word about tonight's location meeting, please accept my apology. With that said, Dr. Thompson, did you have any comments?
Yes, I'd like to just, Ms. Eckstein, appreciate you coming to our meetings. You've been a couple of times, and you and I have had conversations before. I just want to point out 2 differences in the Daniel Allen Kane Hoy. Those were 2 different communities, and we were actually 3 different communities with the Clements Ferry Road. So we were deciding on the area to put the school more so than with the Tanner Plantation. We know the area. We just don't have an option at this point to talk to the community members. And when we can secure an option, we'll come share that message with you. But right now, the school district doesn't have an option, but we're continuing to work through that process.